Hi, I'm Courtney Anderson with the City and County of Denver, and I work in the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency. Welcome to the public briefings for the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code and the Denver Green Code adoption process. I'll be reviewing proposals for the Code Committee hearings. And this is also in collaboration with Community Planning and Development. This is the short introduction for the public briefings, so to view and hear more about our more in-depth goals, please review the first portion of the first public briefing. Thank you. These public briefings are to keep public updated on Code Committee progress. They're intended to be less technical explanations for upcoming code proposals and previews for what's scheduled to be heard in the upcoming hearings and recaps of what happened in the past hearings. All comments and questions should be brought to committee hearings. So you please go to the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code and Denver Green Code adoption process website, where we have a list of proposed amendments, schedules, agendas, and ways to sign up to attend a hearing. To hear the full discussion and really ask any questions, please attend these Code Committee hearings. There will be 9 public briefings to coincide with the IECC and Denver Green Code Energy Chapter hearings, and these will happen 8 days before the hearings. So on this calendar for February, you can see it happens 8 days before the IECC and a day before the Denver Green Code hearings. And here's the schedule below of these intended public briefing dates. When we talk about the code committees, we're talking about the code committees for the Denver Building and Fire Code and the Denver Green Code. The Denver Building and Fire Code have building codes like the International Building Code, the International Fire Code, the International Energy Conservation Code. And the Denver Green Code is a code that allows the community to test provisions. It's updated every 3 years, and the provisions are reevaluated to see what can be moved to mandatory code. We add more progressive provisions every code cycle to reflect the community's vision for Denver. This code cycle will introduce a limited use mandatory for the Denver Green Code. This will be a limited use for the Denver Green Code on all commercial, including multifamily residential projects. And the goal is to elevate all new building project performance in Denver. Project teams will choose a very small number of provisions from each chapter for each project. And readership will provide a preview of priorities expected to be mandatory soon. The development community can prepare to succeed, and it will accelerate familiarity with the code sections in the Denver Green Code. There will still be the optional full use of the Denver Green Code, which encourages exemplary leadership and shows what's attainable today. This is the Denver Code adoption process. So last summer we started with working groups where we met with community members, subject matter experts, and stakeholders to hear what ideas and concepts they wanted for the City and County of Denver. We then developed those ideas and concepts into city proposed amendments. We also requested public proposals, so anyone from the public was able to submit a proposal to be heard in the committee meetings. Through the end of January to the middle of May, there will be technical advisory committee meetings that will be ongoing to hear and make recommendations to approve or disapprove proposals. Those will be published and be sent to City Council for recommendations of proposals, and there'll be a briefing and a vote. And if that's approved by City Council, then that will create the 2022 Denver Building and Fire Code. For the Code Committee structure, the committee hearings will be with Community Planning and Development. There will be 6 committee hearing series. First one being the International Building Code and International Existing Building Code, the International Fire Code, the International Residential Code, the International Mechanical, Plumbing, and Fuel Gas Code. And what these briefings will be focused on is the International Energy Conservation Code and the Denver Green Code Energy chapters. That will be one series. And then the Denver Green Code non-energy chapters will be another series. There'll be 15 to 30 voting members of each committee series. NORESCO is Denver's code consultant, and they will be facilitating these meetings. They are open to public to listen or to be a proponent or opponent. They will also be following Robert's Rules of Order, where a proponent speaks. Then there'll be speakers in support of the proposal and then speakers in opposition. Then the committee has a chance to ask questions, where there will be a rebuttal in support and then a rebuttal in opposition. And if necessary, there'll be floor modifications and then eventually getting called to a vote. And the committees will be voting to recommend approvals of proposals. And the agendas for the committee hearings will be posted 5 days ahead of the hearing, and the minutes will be posted 5 days after the hearing. There will be 2 committee hearing series with the Office of Community Planning Development and the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency in collaboration. The first one, which I've mentioned before, is the combination of the International Energy Conservation Code, or the IECC, and the Denver Green Code Energy chapters. There'll be 9 hearings for this series, and you can see the dates below. The other series will be the Denver Green Code non-energy chapters, and there will be 6 of these hearings with these dates listed below. Many of you have probably seen a chart like this showing the progression of the various codes and how they compare to Denver's goals. It's based on carbon intensity instead of energy, so the relationship between the codes might look different from similar charts. The carbon is cumulative carbon intensity over a 20-year lifespan, the anticipated average equipment life of new equipment. The carbon intensity takes into account the projected decarbonization of Xcel's electricity grid. This allows us to graph the impact of efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy proposals all on one graph. This chart includes the ultimate goal for Denver from Denver's Net Zero Energy Implementation Plan. But keep in mind that this is the overarching goal for the actual performance of buildings. But we are talking about the Energy Code, which primarily addresses the design of buildings rather than the actual outcomes. And we know that there's a divide between the Energy Code and the actual performance in buildings. In 2024, Denver will be adopting policies to address actual performance outcomes in buildings in order to bring actual performance into alignment with code expectations. So the goal is for 2027 code to require net zero energy for design through traditional energy code requirements, and for actual performance to start achieving net zero energy in 2030 through the addition of outcome-based policies to work with the energy code. But always keeping in mind that this is about code vintage. Because of permitting and construction timelines, buildings permitted under the 2022 will continue to be built as late as 2027. This chart includes 2 points for the 2022 Denver Energy Code. One represents the maximum potential of all the proposals that have been proposed, and the other shows where we are with the proposals adopted so far after the first hearing. So we can see that we have the proposals we need to meet Denver's goal. This is all based on estimates of the status of Denver's codes and the impact of the proposals. And some proposals have modeling to support saving potentials, but for most of them, the impact had to be based on best estimates by our consultants, NORESCO and NBI, since hard savings or electrification impact numbers weren't available. When we look at the same chart for residential, we can see that even though the line is not as steep, the national model codes have not made the same kind of progress in the last few code cycles. So Denver residential code has more ground to make up than the commercial code in order to meet Denver's goals. As a consequence, all of the submitted proposals, which include efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy, would not get Denver to its goals unless the proposals are modified to deliver more efficiency, more renewable energy, and full electrification. This chart demonstrates what the impact of 5 proposals have on achieving Denver's goals. So you can see the Denver Energy Code 2022 current status is nearly on top of the Denver Energy Code 2022 maximum potential, because these 5 proposals represent about 90% of the impact of all of the proposed proposals on the table. So this is for commercial, and the 5 proposals are calibrating C406, which is the prescriptive path, calibrating Appendix G, which is the modeling path, electrifying space and water heating as 2 different proposals, as well as having a minimum renewable energy proposal. And this story is very similar for the residential impact. So you can see that the current status and the maximum potential, again, are nearly on top of each other, because these 5 proposals for residential represent about 90% of the impact of all proposals on the table. So it's similar where it's calibrating the R408, which is the prescriptive path, R406, which is the modeling path, electrifying space and water heating, and again, minimum renewable energy requirements. So last time we reviewed what proposals have passed in the IECC and Denver Green Code energy hearings. The column on the left is what we've already reviewed together. The column on the right, those are the proposals with updated status since the hearing number 4. So number P45, a change in occupancy, was approved with the intent to modify. Number 23, general prescriptive path, approved with the intent to modify. Number 7, duct and air handler locations, was approved. Number 46, duct testing, was approved as modified. And number 11.2, continuously burning pilot lights, was also approved. And again, these are, when they're approved, it's recommended to be approved to City Council. So thank you. So for the structure of the IECC and Denver Green Code Energy hearing number 5, we will be doing an introduction and well as a voting section. So like previous hearings, we will have an introduction section where we're introducing 2 out of the top 5 commercial climate impact proposals that we heard in previous slides. We will then be voting on 2 out of the top 5, so 2 different ones, climate impact proposals. And we'll also be voting on others that tie into the 5th of the top 5 commercial climate impact proposals. So the ones that we'll be voting on for 2 out of the top 5 for the vote will be number 18, calibrating Appendix G, and number 4, minimum renewable energy. The others on this list, number 10, 12, 16, 101, and 8, those tie into the 5th of the top 5 climate impact proposals for commercial. These next 2 proposals are 2 out of the top 5 climate impact proposals. This one is public proposal number 38, submitted by SWEEP, about partial space water heating electrification. The purpose of this is to move Denver towards its community-driven climate goals, health goals, and equity goals through the use of clean, highly efficient, cost-effective, and all-electric technologies. So this proposal would require heat pumps for service hot water systems in new buildings. There are many exceptions, and the intent is that this would apply to common systems found in most building types. Climate change cannot be stopped as long as natural gas is used to heat our buildings and water. In Denver, 97% of buildings' greenhouse gas emissions are used for space heating and hot water heating in our homes and buildings. And Xcel Energy's electrical grid in Colorado is getting dramatically cleaner and will be at least 80% renewable by 2030, which is during the lifetime of any space heating equipment installed now, making electric heat pumps the option with the lowest greenhouse gas emissions available today. Electric heat pumps are also 3 times more energy efficient than their gas counterparts. We will go into many more details during the hearings, so please review the proposals on the 2022 Denver Building Code and Denver Green Code adoption website. Public proposal number P40, also submitted by SWEEP, is very similar to the last proposal, but is about space heating. So this proposal would require heat pumps for space heating systems in new buildings. Again, there are many exceptions, and the intent is this would apply to common systems found in most building types. Heat pumps use electricity to move heat from a cool space to a warm space, making the cool space cooler and the warm space warmer. Cold climate heat pumps work well in Denver's winter climate, and heat pump technology has improved significantly in recent years. And they operate well down to -12 degrees Fahrenheit. New buildings need to stay ahead of existing buildings. The Energize Denver ordinance applies to commercial and multifamily buildings and has energy performance requirements and electrification requirements. For electrification, in the Energize Denver ordinance, all buildings will be required to partially electrify space and water heating systems upon system replacement when an electric heat pump is near cost parity with a like-for-like gas system counterpart. So we need to be ahead in new buildings so that these buildings in the future can meet their existing building requirements. The next proposal is Proposal 4, which is about minimum renewable energy for commercial buildings. This proposal requires commercial buildings to acquire a minimum percentage, so 20% of their annual energy consumption from renewable energy, or to achieve an equivalent amount of performance from Section C406, which we just reviewed, or from an on-site renewable energy resource. The system can be sized prescriptively with a table in C405 or through modeling that determines the actual energy annual usage of the building. This proposal is also structured to provide alternate options for buildings that cannot physically accommodate an on-site renewable energy system that can meet these requirements. Buildings can also comply by implementing any of the two of the following options: an all-electric construction, off-site renewable energy, and additional efficiency through Section C406. The next proposal regarding commercial buildings is Proposal 18, limiting modeling to Appendix G. So this proposal eliminates the C407 compliance path from the IECC and Chapter 11 from 90.1, leaving Appendix G as the sole modeled performance compliance path. It also eliminates the prescriptive path in ASHRAE 90.1 as a compliance option. There are currently 5 compliance paths in IECC 2021. We need to create a greater consistency in performance outcomes in new Denver buildings by limiting the number of compliance paths and calibrating them to the same level of efficiency in the Denver Energy Code. The multiple paths also create complexity for code users and challenges for effective code enforcement. This proposal reduces the compliance paths to just the prescriptive path in the IECC and the modeling approach in Appendix G from ASHRAE 90.1. The modeling approach from Appendix G was chosen because this modeling methodology has received consistent development with each development cycle of ASHRAE Standard 90.1. This development has enabled the modeling path to more fully incorporate enhancements to the prescriptive path and to more clearly define modeling parameters and variables. Conversely, the modeling path section C407 of the IECC has not received any development since the 2012 code cycle. It does not include all of the prescriptive elements of the code and methodology. The next proposals that will receive a vote relate to proposal number 6 about C406. So as a reminder, number 6 about C406 relates to the prescriptive path for commercial buildings. In 2021 edition of the IECC, it replaced the C406 package options with credit options. So this proposal calibrates the number of points required by the IECC in C406 to meet Denver's performance goals. It also sets specific targets based on building types in order to allow Denver to move all building types towards Denver's net zero energy goals at a level rate. It allows the stringency of the prescriptive compliance path to be quickly and easily calibrated to Denver's goals by simply changing the number of points required. And it provides maximum flexibility for projects using the prescriptive path, since project teams will be able to choose which credit options are the most effective and cost-effective for their particular project. So now we'll get into the proposals that relate to C406, and these will plug in to number 6, proposal number 6 about C406. So the first one is number 10, removing a credit limit for premium cooling. So this proposal would remove the cap on possible credits in C406 for higher efficiency cooling equipment, which allows teams to take advantage of very high performance equipment. Number 12 is about premium air tightness. So this would add an additional credit to the C406 credit table to give credits for air tightness that is better than the existing credit option. This credit allows teams to get additional points for achieving 0.15 CFM per square foot. Air leakage can be a significant source of energy waste in buildings. It contributes to higher heating and cooling costs for building owners and occupants, and increased risk related to comfort and durability. Number 16 is about enhanced envelope UA. So this proposal adds an additional credit option for projects that meet a total UA reduction, a 25% reduction, that goes beyond the existing credit option currently in C406. Envelope performance requirement improvements can be particularly effective in colder climates like Denver's. This can be useful when pursued as part of a strategy that simultaneously minimizes space conditioning, size, and cost. The next one is number 101, which is an electrification option. So this proposal creates 2 additional credit options for C406 based on partial electrification to create greater flexibility in C406 to reward the benefit of building electrification. So there's a credit about space heating and a credit about water heating. And this requirement for these credit options includes a provision ensuring that the electric equipment is mostly heat pump technology. And finally, number 8 is about premium heating. So this proposal would create an additional points for heating equipment that has an even higher efficiency than the current levels in C406. So right now C406 has an additional credit option for cooling equipment that has a higher rated efficiency than the basic high performance cooling credit option, but there are no similar credit options for heating equipment. So this proposal simply provides that option to projects.